What is it about the New York Jets that makes you feel like you can establish yourself or cement your place as a starting NFL quarterback? What about the situation do you really like?
Yeah, I think just the people, in the building, the coaches, my teammates, and really just everybody that's ready to, get this thing rolling and get this thing going. So, of course, I know everybody around here is very excited, and so am I. So I'm really just ready to get to work.
What are your thoughts on being reunited with Garrett Wilson, and how can you guys both complement each other, make each other better?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Of course, we played together in college, and, when I saw him, it's really just like the old days. So I don't think our relationship skipped a beat. So, of course, I'm definitely excited to play with him, guys like Ruck and, Josh Myers. So I'm excited for that, and, of course, things that we can do to help get each other better, just, get back on the same page as we were in college, and, of course, communicate, make sure we're always on the same page when it comes to concepts and routes and, what he's doing in certain situations. But, yeah, I'm definitely excited to be back on the field with him for sure.
Justin, when we were talking to Aaron Glenn last week in Florida at the owners' meetings, he said that while you're a dynamic runner, their hope is to really develop you as a quarterback, to let you truly play the quarterback position, which he felt that maybe wasn't the case in your two previous stops. I'm wondering if you could speak to that and whether you feel like in the previous stops you didn't get a chance to fully play the quote unquote the position.
I mean, I think I was asked to, I did what I was asked to do, and I've never had a problem with that. I've always been a team player. I've always been, advocating on, putting, myself behind the team. So, like I said, I'm not really gonna get too much into depth on, what was happened in Chicago and what happened last year with Pittsburgh. But like I said, I'm grateful for all the experiences that I've had. I met a lot of great people there, built a lot of great relationships that'll last a lifetime. And, I think, of course, the more time you have in the league, the more experience you have. So, like I said, I think I'm, progressing and getting better each and every year. So, like I said, I'm excited to get things rolling this year.
Justin, what did you like about this offense? What did you like about this coaching staff that made you want to come here?
Yeah, of course, I played, AG multiple times while I was in Chicago and he was in Detroit. So I know his passion for the game. I know how he coaches his players. I know kind of his mentality with the game of football. So, of course, I'm, excited for that part. And, of course, we got Tanner, who also came from Detroit, and the things they do on offense and how they utilize the players that they have. So I'm excited to get rolling into that and, him being able to utilize the players that we have and, just, having them do the things that, fit their game.
Justin, what do you think of the offensive line that's going to be in front of you here?
Yeah, I'm excited. Excited to, of course, we've been working out a couple of days, so been building relationships with them and excited to get to work with them. But, I don't know too much about them yet. So, kind of just going to build that relationship over time and get to know the guys for sure.
Well, the reason I ask is the Jets have the number 7 pick in the draft. So as a quarterback, they could either get you another protector or they could get you another weapon. What do you say?
I think that's above my pay grade. So, I'm going to roll with whatever they choose.
Justin, how do you look at this opportunity in particular for you, knowing a few years ago you came in, as a rookie, 2 teams later? What is this opportunity for you? Is there something you want to prove to yourself, to others? How do you view this situation?
Definitely something that I want to prove to myself, and I think my expectations for myself are higher than anybody else's, to be honest with you. So something to prove for myself, and again, I think I've been improving each year I've been in the league, so I look to do the same this year, to be honest with you. But like I said, I think my expectations for myself are, higher than you guys, is higher than, all other people in this building. So, like I said, I'm excited to get to work and get things going.
Justin, how do you reflect back on how last season went for you? You played those 6 games or whatever it was, and then got benched. I'm just curious, how do you reflect on it and how you have over these last few months?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason. So, I was put in a place where I wasn't, really never in a place my entire life. So I think, I tried to have a different perspective on it. Of course, Russ has been in the league for a long time, so I learned a lot of great things from him, and, got to kind of learn a different perspective of things. And, like I said, he's been in the league a long time. So just seeing how he works every day, seeing his routine, and, picking up things that I can implement into my routine, into my game. So it was, of course, different for me in a space where I wasn't necessarily comfortable. But at the end of the day, like I said, Coach Tomlin, he made a decision where he thought was best for the team. And like I said, I'm never gonna, go against that. Of course, I'm not a selfish guy whatsoever. So like I said, I just tried to change my perspective, get better each and every day in practice, and yeah.
Justin, when you say that your expectations are higher than everybody's, what are those expectations?
I like to keep them to myself, but just in terms of my play, I know what I can do on the field. I've been playing this game for a long time, and I know what I'm capable of. So, yeah.
We've seen examples in recent years of quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, who sometimes they don't hit their stride until they're on their third, or even in some cases their fourth team. How does that resonate with you? Because you're in kind of a similar situation. Can you be that next guy to break through?
I mean, I think I can for sure. But like I said, I think everybody's journey is different. Nobody's journey is the same. So, they're those guys, it happened for them, like you said, on the third or fourth team. And of course, I'm definitely hoping for it to, happen here in New York. But, like I said, everybody's not the same. Everybody's different. So, I think those guys kind of kept their head down. They didn't let too many things in the outside world shake them. They kept working, and, they flourished, of course, in Tampa Bay and Minnesota. So, yeah.
Justin, did the way things played out in Pittsburgh, like you talked about, did that factor in? Was that playing in your mind at all as you headed towards free agency, whether you were considering Pittsburgh or the Jets or whatever?
Not really. In this league, you tend. I kind of have the mindset you can't take things personal. That's one thing I've learned over the years, not to take anything personal. And at the end of the day, I was just excited, of what the Jets had going on here with AG and just with the coaching staff and everything like that. So it wasn't more so. It didn't really have anything to do with Pittsburgh, but just the opportunity I had here to make an impact and, of course, get things going. So yeah.
Justin, what do you remember about the draft and the Jets? They obviously ended up picking Zach, but did you come here on a visit? Different regime? Did you meet with ownership? What do you remember about your pre-draft with the Jets? Did you think there was
no. So that year was COVID. That year was COVID, so I didn't take any visits. We didn't even have any of that. So yeah.
Hey, a couple more for Justin. Couple more.
Did you think there was a chance you were going to end up here then, or you knew not so?
I pretty much knew. I think my agent talked to somebody, but we kind of knew the first kind of 3 draft picks were kind of set in place. So, yeah.
What if the Jets take a quarterback here, whether it's 7, second round, whatever? How do you feel about the possibility of a young guy who might, you might have to mentor or could be nipping at your heels?
I don't really like to answer rhetorical questions, but like I said, I'm willing to teach. But yeah, I'm not really interested in rhetorical questions. So.
Justin, Aaron Glenn talked about how he likes to shape the offense around the players that he has, as opposed to trying to fit players into a scheme. What is it like for you as a player going into this offense, knowing okay, Tanner Engstrand and Aaron Glenn are going to try and build this offense around my skill set?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I think Detroit, they did a good job last year, of course, fitting their scheme into what players they had. So I think the biggest thing that we have to do here is kind of just see what guys can do, their strengths, and, just implement those ways into our offense, into the scheme, and, how we want to use certain guys.
Justin, the Jets have not had the greatest history of quarterbacks. Even a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's going to the Hall of Fame, had some ups and downs. What is it about you that gives you the confidence, either something physically or your leadership style gives you the belief that you can be the one to end that sort of trend?
Yeah, of course, I've been on good teams. I've been on bad teams. So just the mindset and really just, like you said, the leadership. And AG has been in the same situation to where, Detroit, they didn't start off hot. So I think he knows how to take a bad situation and turn it into a good one. So, I've seen, I've been on teams that have been, 3-14 and stuff like that. And of course, last year, Pittsburgh, we had a pretty good team making it to the playoffs and had a hot start. So I've seen both sides of it. So, I can kind of tell the difference between just the characteristics of a team that is not doing so well and the characteristics of a good team. So of course, really just trying to implement that into, our team and try to get all the, good characteristics and just find the recipe of, what makes us a playoff team. So, yeah.
Last one here.
Despite the way it ended last year, that stretch that you had, you played pretty well. Did that kind of restore some confidence for you personally in that, you can get this job done, you could do this, you could be an NFL starter?
I mean, most definitely. But to be honest with you, my confidence never left me. I feel like when your confidence leaves you, then you have zero chance. So, you can take however many losses in life in this game, but you can never lose your confidence. You can, never lose your will to work and get things done. So, no matter how many, losses and stuff like that, I'm never going to lose my confidence, in life or, in this game. So. Like I said, just excited to be here and, get to work and get this thing going. So.